He must be wondering though, I can't help thinking that Campbell Money could have helped his centre back there. If he's on the edge of his box, like I think most goalkeepers would be when you've got people of the pace of John Robertson. I think there's going to be more controversy though, Jock. I think they're going to give it outside the box, which again is quite right, but I think the Hearts lads are looking for a penalty kick. A couple of them are down by the linesman on this near side. But I think the referee again is going to be right, and he's going to give it just outside.
Well, the referee certainly couldn't be faulted for that. He ordered off Peter Godfrey quite correctly, and he's now going to give the free kick just outside the penalty area, and that certainly is borne out, I think, by our pictures. David McCreary appears to require some attention, but the Hearts players certainly believe that that should have been a penalty kick, but I reckon that we can show the referee, Donald McVicker, was perfectly correct. So let's take a look at that once again.
Yes, I think we're all agreed. There's the first challenge there, well outside the box. The second one comes in, again a yard outside the box. And although John Robertson falls inside the box, credit the officials, correct decision.
So St Mirren reduced in dramatic fashion to 10 men, and Hearts have a great opportunity from the edge of the box to cash in on this set piece. Tosh McKinley is there, John Robertson is there, Gary Mackay is there, so is Dave McPherson. Robertson I fancy for this. Well, that couldn't have missed by much. Relief on the face of Campbell Money, but this was hit with stunning power.
Yes, this is very, very close. There can only be inches in this. He strikes this magnificently well, and that's only gone about 6 inches wide of the post. And had it been on target, I don't think there would have been much Campbell Money could have done about that.
So Hearts no doubt feel that justice has not been seen to be done by that. The referee certainly administered the laws perfectly correctly, and St Mirren have had to reorganise. They've done so by bringing Brian Martin back to central defence alongside Roddy Manley. They've withdrawn George Shaw into the middle of the field, leaving Mark McWalter on his own up front. Here's Martin, who's got lots of experience playing in the back forward. It'll be no problem to him. So back it goes to Manley. So Campbell Money, a relieved man. John Robertson will be feeling very upset indeed. He appeared to be cleared through on goal on that occasion. Top goal scorer with 22 strikes last season, and he's scored a goal a game so far this season. So looking to keep up that record tonight, and he may well have done so, but for that foul by Peter Godfrey. Headed on by McWalter. There is header, there's Henry Smith. He's very quick indeed, and he had to be. Paul Kinnear was closing in.
I'll tell you what, Jock, let's not discount St Mirren because they've lost a man. We know only too well how teams can come back and how difficult it is at times to play against 10 men. I've suffered defeats from 10 men in my own career, so let's not discount St Mirren.
And of course they're fired up themselves, perhaps feeling a sense of injustice, which certainly I don't think will be justified in Peter Godfrey's case. Here's McWalter, and it's well timed by McPherson. There's Tosh McKinley. Headed away by Martin. And here's John Robertson. Led away calmly there by Manley, who has to perform the skipper's role now to good effect. Here's Paul Kinnear. Oh, a neat sidestep there away from McCreary, and well tackled by Levine. Headed back by Shaw. Here's a chance now for St Mirren. Paul Lambert, a glimpse of talent which is flourishing here at Paisley. Paul Lambert almost putting his team ahead.
Yes, we've seen far too little of this tonight from Paul Lambert, but it just shows you what he's capable of. Had he gone down there, I wonder what the referee would have done with Craig Levine. But shows great composure. Very, very unlucky. That was a superb run for your youngster, and what St Mirren will want to see more of.
Manley turning it back. Well, the crowd really has come to life now. Remember, 10 men St Mirren have. And I wonder how Gordon McQueen views the position now with his team reduced to 10 men.
Well, as is often is the case, 10 men roll their sleeves up and get on with it sometime, and created a fantastic opening there, and I'm sure Paul Lambert will be a little bit disappointed that he never finished that off. But the chances have been few and far between for St Mirren in the second half, and I think it's going to be even tougher now with Mark McWalters playing a lone striker's role, with George Shaw dropping back into the middle of the pack. But all's not lost yet, because this team, St Mirren team, have got a lot of spirit.
Well, there's never any question of either side being short of spirit. This cup tie, here's Gary Mackay. Well, trying the long-range effort, but Campbell Money in this kind of form would be hard to beat from that range. So, changes about to be made. Off goes one experienced figure, David McCreery, and the replacement is yet another experienced player, another international. This time it's Eamon Bannon coming on for Hearts. So Bannon replacing McCreery, one international for another. Bit of climbing there on the shoulders of George Shaw by Neil Berry, and it's a free kick to St Mirren. Over the ball for the set piece once again is Tom Black. Manley has gone forward. Not allowed to make a run there by the very experienced figure of Eamon Bannon. Bannon now with some instructions for Gary Mackay, resolving some tactical debate in the middle of the field. Replacing Northern Ireland international David McCreery. Bannon looking for Robertson. And the referee waving play on, although Robertson may well have given Fraser Wishart a bit of a nudge there to try to get an advantage. But with St Mirren in possession, the referee sensibly allows the play to flow. Head flick on from McWalter again. McPherson can now afford to stride forward more and more often. That might make a big difference. Bannon looking for McLaren, who was underneath that. I think he had one eye on Paul Kinnaird, who was coming back to mark him. So there's Tom Black taking the throw for St Mirren. Certainly, if this match does go into extra time, a very heavy onus on the depleted side.
I must admit, I'm a bit confused about the substitution, Jock. I did feel at a time when St Mirren have just been reduced to 10 men. If they were going to make a change, Alec MacDonald, it would have been the ideal time to have brought on Scott Crabb up front, maybe just to prise the St Mirren defence open. There may well be been a problem with David McCreery. Unless there was, I feel, rather a strange substitution from Alec MacDonald.
No, I think in fairness, McCreery did signal to the bench that he was struggling a little bit from that face knock. Seemed to be an enforced change. McPherson a little bit too tight with that pass. Lambert caught late there by Alan McLaren, and the referee will take action. There's the scoreline. So Alan McLaren going in late on Paul Lambert, and the result is another booking. And the referee perhaps also quite happy to take a bit of sting out of the proceedings by stopping play for a moment.
Yes, I mean, the referees gave himself some problems now, Jock, and that every time a Hearts player tackles a St Mirren player, the crowd are going to be baying for blood. I really do feel again there, and I hope I'm not being too critical, the referee's overreacted slightly. Let's take a sting out of it. And Alan McLaren, I would feel, is very unlucky to be booked in.
There's Tom Black with the free kick. Off the head of Bannon. Well, not landing kindly there for Fraser Wishart. Not renowned for his goal-scoring prowess. Still hasn't opened his account for St Mirren since his transfer a year ago. Gary Mackay, now Robertson. Cahoon was through the middle. That was a very important interception there by Martin, giving Hearts the corner kick. Well, it's all very tense now, and one flash of inspiration or one defensive error could settle this tie. Levine at the edge of the box, McPherson inside the 6-yard box. There across by Cahoon. Headed away was by Manley. Here's Mackay. Trying to nudge that through a narrow gap for Robertson. Stickrot's now on the left. And Black hurries the clearance. Hearts now trying to pile on the pressure. Stickrot has crossed over to the left side of the St Mirren midfield. There's Berry. Bannon getting up well. Black was careful with the pass back. There's McWalter. McWalter taking on Berry, making with the byline. He has Kinnear behind him. Headed away by McKinley. Here's Alan McLaren. That's a good pass to Bannon. Cahoon showing himself up front. Wriggling away from Manley.
I just wonder, Ned, I wondered if one or two of the Love Street turnstiles weren't working tonight, because there was only 7,000 here. They must all be sitting underneath you and I, because there really is a tremendous atmosphere here.
Yes, a real cup tie occasion, and the fans all realising that it has to be settled tonight. There goes Kinnear. He's away from Ferguson, swept away there inside the area by Levine. Cleared by Bannon. Here goes Robertson. Play switching from one end to the other. Robertson taking on Martin. Martin using his strength there to win possession. Here's Shaw. No question of St Mirren lying down to this. They're still looking for victory. Stickrot is back on the right in possession now. So here's Stickrot now, and he's brought down by Ferguson. Does he know? The referee says no. Tangle of legs, always difficult for a referee. McKinley easy the ball clear to Mackay. Well, it's all breathless stuff now as these sides press for a winner before the end of the 90 minutes. Tremendous climax to the match. McKinley switching play to the far side, looking for Bannon, but he's not quick enough for that. But what a let-off that was for Hearts at the other end when Paul Kinnear asserted himself.
This is exactly what Gordon McCoon was talking about. Paul Kinnear asserting himself going forward, and Henry Smith does very well, but it's one of those that if your luck's in, it drops to your attacker. Hearts were in favour then, it dropped to Dave McPherson and he's hooked it clear. But this game isn't over with. St Mirren, if they've lost a man, they've gained one from their supporters. They really are pushing them on. It's great to hear.
So 10 minutes remaining, and you have the clear feeling at the moment that there's a lot of excitement and drama to come before the end. We've had one player ordered off, Peter Godfrey of St Mirren. We still have players sitting on a yellow card: Tosh McKinley, Alan McLaren, George Shaw, and we have total commitment from all 21 players out there in the field. The battle for a winner. Turned away there by McKinley, and a throw to St Mirren. Well, certainly no one leaving Love Street at this stage. The story is still about to unfold. So here's McLaren. Martin judging it well. Just out of reach for Shaw. Ferguson now to McLaren. Robertson is offside. Must have been close. So Paul Lambert drops deep. Here's Brian Martin. Headed away by McPherson. He was being pushed by McWalter. The referee gives the free kick to Hearts. This is Levine. Looking for someone in space ahead. Forced to try the hopeful high ball. McLaren got his head to it. Good understanding there. Manley leaving that to Martin. Here's Wishart. Good ton of pace coming forward, Wishart, followed by McKinley. And off the ball, a player has gone down. A St Mirren player's on the ground. Looks like Paul Lambert. And I certainly didn't see what happened to him. I wonder if the linesman saw anything amiss. Well, a little discussion going on there. Paul Kinnear clearly thinks that Derek Ferguson merits a word or two. Certainly not at all sure why that should be. There's Alec MacDonald with the instruction from the dugout. He's clearly very agitated indeed. And the linesman not signalling anything to the referee, so it's George Shaw, in fact, who was the victim of something which happened off the ball. Well, let's hope it was accidental.
Well, I think the reaction from George Shaw shows that there wasn't much in it. I think if he'd have felt that there was something untoward there, you would have seen a different reaction totally from him.
Alan McLaren's header, somewhat miscued. There's Mackay. And McKinley. It's back from Cahun. And then inside, there's Ferguson, well challenged by Shaw. And Lambert takes himself out of that tight corner with a little bit of skill, releasing McWalter. Look at his pace now, getting away from Berry. Berry stalling his progress, though, allowing Hearts to regroup in defence behind him. Here's Tom Black. Couldn't find a way through. A long chase back for the St Mirren players. Here's Eamon Bannon. Now Cahun. That's good running by Cahun. And brought down in full flight there. Here's a problem for Paul Lambert. Well, the referee certainly not standing for any tackles of that kind when a player goes away from a defender. So it's Paul Lambert who is getting that stern lecture from referee McVicker, which will be followed with a yellow card.
Yes, every tackle now, Jock, from behind up in Scotland here, the referees have a directive. No tackling from behind, clamp down on it. And although it's not a really harsh tackle from Paul Lambert, Paul's not exactly the hardest man around. He doesn't really get that well stuck in, but I mean, he's got to be booked for it. The referees are told.
A little word of apparent sympathy there from John Cahun for Lambert. Cahun, chairman of the Scottish Professional Football Association. McKinley flights it in. There goes Bannon, beaten away by Money. That was good goalkeeping. Excellent judgment there, but there's an offside flag up on the near side. So there won't be a corner kick. It's going to be a free kick on the 6-yard line. But it was a fine header there from Bannon and very good judgment by Money in goal.
Yes, it was brave goalkeeping. But I think the offside went against John Robertson, just sneaking in a little bit too early, like the striker he is, trying for the sniff. But it's a great header. It's a good free kick in, and the introduction of Eamon Bannon was giving them an extra good header of the ball in there. Look how high he climbs. It's a super knockdown. But what kind of knockdown that John Robertson thrives on, but as you can see there, just in a fraction too early.
Levine lashing the ball forward, and Bannon took a heavy knock there from Manley as he didn't quite reach the ball. There's Black, handball against Ferguson. Well, the St Mirren fans baying for a booking for that. There's the clock showing 5 minutes remaining in the 90 minutes. It looks as though extra time is looming. Here's Lambert taking the pass from Shaw. Wishart forward to Stigrot. Good running by Wishart. Well, out of luck there, standing on the ball. Bannon's in the clear on the left. This is promising for Hearts. Robertson waits in the middle. Mackay and Cahun arriving late. Well, Tom Black certainly got a break there. He tried to sweep that on to safety for a throw-in, miscued, and set it up for money.
Not at all, Jock. He'll tell you meant that.
Convincing will be difficult. Yeah, there's Tosh McKinley with the long ball forward, and Cahoon this time is onside, trying to get away from Martin, who's stood up to him well. Now Robertson trying to get a shooting position at the edge of the box. Could have used Ferguson behind him. We'll just listen to the atmosphere now as St Mirren come forward. This is McWalter, met solidly there by Neil Berry. And through the middle for Robertson, Money, the auxiliary sweeper. And the offside flag is up against George Shaw.
Just looking at that little incident there with John Robertson getting through and Campbell Money coming out, I can't help thinking that Peter Godfrey after the game will be asking him why he wasn't there in that position when Robertson broke through the last time. It would have saved that desperate tackle and the sending off of Peter Godfrey.
And it is, it's with Derek Ferguson for Hearts. Closing minutes now. There would be no way back for either side if a goal went in at this stage. Here's Ferguson. McPherson's up with the attack. He was very carefully marked. Paul Lambert doing the marking job and heading that away for the corner kick. Campbell Murray organising a defence, so only missing Peter Godfrey for this corner kick. Bannon, an additional threat now that he's on to replace McCreary. There's John Cahoon. Headed away well by Manley, marking Levine. St Mirren racing out, and Craig Levine left isolated there. There's the linesman, Donald Wilson, with the flag up against Levine. So St Mirren now have a little bit of thinking to do in these closing minutes of the 90 minutes, because they certainly can't afford to give anything away at this stage. They couldn't make any recovery, but here's Paul Kinnear, who's had a fine match for St Mirren and is taken right out of the play by Ferguson. That was a bad tackle, all right, and Ferguson is undoubtedly going to be booked. Now I wonder if that was a legacy of the earlier verbal exchange between Kinnear and Ferguson.
Yes, I'm sure there's every chance of that. You see frustration coming in. Derek Ferguson just going straight for Paul Kinnear there. He'll be a lucky man, Derek, if it's only a yellow card he sees.
Well, they certainly did exchange a very angry word or two a few moments ago after George Shaw went down off the ball. Kinnear and Ferguson had a very angry verbal exchange, so Ferguson is the latest player to be booked. Total of 5 bookings in addition to Godfrey's ordering off. So a chance now for St Mirren in the last minute of the match. Henry Smith bouncing on his line for Tom Black's free kick. The run was made by Shaw, and that's well claimed by Smith, who certainly hasn't been busy in the second half in particular. Bannon's headed on. Played forward by Wishart. The offside flag is up against McWalter. Well, that's a surprise, because Craig Levine appeared to be playing him on by several yards.
I think it was only 5, Jock.
So some derision directed towards Ferguson by the St Mirren fans as he plays it back. This is Mackay. Ferguson again. Now McKinley. What a tense finish to the match. Eamon Bannon now going at Wishart, then Stigrot. Back with Mackay. Here's McPherson. Good tackle made by Martin. St Mirren pulling everyone back except McWalter. Here's McLaren leaving it now to Mackay. McPherson has gone down at the edge of the box as he tried a quick turn. Here's Brian Martin. Berry lofts it forward. Here's Roddy Manley. Nowhere to go on the left. It's picked up by Cahoon. Martin gets to the ball, and Money just hangs back to make sure that Martin has a target for the pass back. The referee, Donald McVicker, checks his watch now. It looks as though extra time is inevitable, and that means more thrills and spills to come in a further half hour, but still allowing some stoppage time. And here's more trouble. Neil Berry this time. Well, he certainly was very late and rash with that tackle on Mark McWalter. So Neil Berry, the latest player to be put.
And this is what happens to Mark McWalter an awful lot, because he's so quick. Neil Berry's very, very late there. That is a very late tackle from Neil Berry. The referee really is working as hard as every player out there. Oh, he's got plenty of lead in that pencil.
Well, free kick it is to St Mirren as Berry is booked. We're well into injury time now at the end of the match. Here's Thomas Stickrot looking for a shooting opportunity. It's good running in the far side, but there's too much pace on the pass. Paul Lambert couldn't reach it. That may well be the last opportunity of the 90 minutes. Indeed, referee Donald McVicker.
I think that Hearts, 10 men, they can't risk going to penalties. They're up against a keeper in Campbell Money that doesn't let many penalties in, so they surely can't risk going there, risking it to chance. They must go forward and want to win it.
Throw goes to Hearts. That came off McWalter. Sign from Arbroath, Mark McWalter. A very young player, he's only 22 now, and here's a change being made by Hearts. Well, it's something of a surprise, I would suggest, Andy, to find that it's John Cahoon who's going off to accommodate Scott Crabb.
Yes, I think the time is right for Alec MacDonald to dispense with the sweeper system. I think that two international defenders in Craig Levein and David McPherson should be able to look after Mark McWalter. And I was very surprised that Neil Berry, not that he hasn't played well, wasn't the one to be sacrificed for looking for a victory.
We've had 10 minutes in extra time, still no scoring here at Love Street. This match played to a finish tonight. And the winners, it's now been established, will travel next week to play Aberdeen at Pittodrie in what will be an outstanding quarter-final Skol Cup tie. McPherson nodding it down carefully to Ferguson. First touch for Scott Crabb. Running straight into Black. Well, John Cahoon was seeing so much of the ball on that right flank in extra time. You wondered if his service into the middle with Scott Crabb supporting John Robertson might have been interesting. Three central defenders have a touch. Berry, Levein and McPherson. Now it's with Mackay. Bannon nodding it down well. There's Crabb. That's the menace of Scott Crabb. One glimpse of the ball, he lets go a very dangerous shot.
Yes, I mean this boy looks for goals and likes to get in there. And at the other end, Henry Smith there, very, very fortunate.
Well, that shot from Scott Crabb, but the real controversy is at the other end as Mark McWalter goes down in the box as Henry Smith goes to meet him, and referee Donald McVicker waves aside all appeals for a penalty kick. Well, that was very interesting indeed, and if McWalter took a dive, then he's perhaps lucky he wasn't booked. What a tough task it's been for the referee tonight, and over the piece, you have to say he'd acquitted himself well. Certainly a little bit controversial with his early technical bookings. Well, let's have a look at this again.
Yes, generally the referee has been right, but this really was a close one. Again, the pace of McWalter comes out. You can't really see from this angle, but I think St Mirren players feel they have a case. And you look at Henry Smith, his hands are up right away in innocence.
Well, I think it certainly settles any doubts about whether or not McWalter died. He seemed to be stumbling, but perhaps involuntarily there. There's another hefty challenge by Ferguson on Kinnaird. Ferguson, remember, one of the Hearts players who has been booked. And there will be another change made here by St Mirren. Taking off Mark McWalter, and the replacement is another striker, Kenny McDowell. So thoroughly deserved applause for McWalter going off, and a warm welcome too for Kenny McDowell. So fresh pair of legs up front for St Mirren. Black with a free kick, looking for McDowell. Levine wins it well. There's Bannon. Mackay was caught napping there by Kinnaird. It's back now with Lambert. Martin playing it forward. There's McLaren and Mackay. Crabbe taking up Cahoon's position wide on the right. Linking as he has done so effectively there with Robertson. Ferguson lays it back. Takes a late challenge from Wishart. Play rages on. One thing which is certainly quite clear tonight is that we're looking at two very fit sides, Andy.
Oh, they're tremendously fit sides. This really has been a cup tie. It's been cut and thrust, end to end. St Mirren, to their credit, are still looking to get forward, looking to get that winner. Not foolishly, they're keeping it solid at the back, but they still look as if they're keen to get that winner, not let it go to penalties. It's been a great cup tie, both teams very, very fit. And Mark McWalter, who's just gone off, can be very pleased with himself. He really did run himself into the ground after Peter Godfrey had gone off.
And there goes the half-time whistle in extra time. 15 minutes remaining. The referee will insist on a quick turnaround here. There's no question. Dramatic fall, which the referee waved aside. So here's Hearts coming forward. This is Gary Mackay. Good running by Mackay, going all the way himself. Here's Bannon on the left. Excellent positioning there by Money. He made that look easy, but it was a good move from Hearts.
It was a great run from Gary Mackay, but I do feel that he had a chance just when he gets there, on his left foot, to have gone for goal there. And he's past Eamon Bannon. He's in a much more difficult angle. But you can see what Eamon tried to do. He's tried to curl it around the keeper, not got it quite right. But Gary Mackay had a glorious chance at the edge of the box just to strike for goal.
Mackay perhaps not yet fully confident about his goal-scoring ability. He only scored once throughout last season, and that's a very poor return for a midfield player who usually scores a few. The chance now for Scott Crabbe. Crabbe has done it for Hearts. Sheer joy for the Hearts fans. Scott Crabbe in the 8th minute of the second period of extra time has broken the deadlock with an expert piece of finishing. John Robertson, Gary Mackay congratulating him. Scott Crabbe kissing the badge, but what a fine goal it was.
Yes, and a fine ball. John Robertson watch this for a piece of finishing. Nothing of that blasting. He knows the keeper. 9 times out of 10 a keeper will dive at your feet. He knows that, and he just thinks it over him. But it's a superb run from him. You see him run from deep there. But watch it, he looks at the Campbell Money, down he goes and over it goes. That's a superb finish shot. But you can't help feeling sorry for St Mirren. It all started with a little bit of indecision. But maybe that's why we were saying this boy should have been on a little bit earlier, when he possesses that kind of finishing.
An outstanding striker. From the Hearts' point of view. And no rush at all about the throw. It looks as though it's all over for St Mirren despite their valiant efforts. Hearts will be very happy indeed to keep the ball around that corner flag. It goes Robertson inside, and he's earned the free kick. With that body check from Lambert, but there goes the final whistle. That magnificent goal from Scott Crabbe takes Hearts through. Andy, sympathy for St Mirren.
You must have sympathy for St Mirren. It was a tremendous cup tie, Jock. It really did have everything. Crunching tackles, sending off, controversy. Was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty? And no, we didn't have an abundance of goals. The one we did get from that young man there was simply superb. A goal of the highest quality, and it was always going to take something special to break down either of these defences. That young man supplied it.
And the Hearts players and fans celebrate their arrival in the quarter-final, where they'll play Aberdeen next week. Sympathy undoubtedly due for St Mirren, but the final score after extra time here at Love Street, Paisley. St Mirren 0, Hearts 1 over the John Onberdale.